Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LeanTossup College Football Podcast. We're here finally. It is bowl season finally. We are recording this on Wednesday, which is 2 days before the start of the bowls. But this season is extra special because today is the last day in which there is not football until uh, until January 2nd. Basically, this is a string of football every day until the Rose Bowl. So this is the month of football. I am, of course, joined as always by my co-host Buckmetrics. How are you? How are you getting ready for bowl season right now?
Um, I've been doing so basically from my sick bed for about 2.5 days.
Uh,
So I apologize for not sounding like a seasoned broadcaster that I am not nor pretend to be. I I promise I'll sound better next time, folks. I also just want to mention that this is episode one. We're going to have one episode this week and then one of each of the next 2 weeks to go through the three bowls. You caught me off guard with the month of football because NFL is kind of a blind spot for me.
mhm.
Um, so this week's episode for the Bulls, we're going to cover Bulls through the Armed Forces Bowl, which is December 22nd, a week from tomorrow, which I guess also coincides with some kind of NFL game. I don't know. I guess they play on every Thursday.
There's always an NFL game on Thursday, and the thing is, there's three NFL games this Saturday too, because now this is when they take over Saturday,
Mm, yeah.
and then it starts getting weird because Christmas this year falls on a Sunday. So they've done all the NFL games move to Saturday, and then they
Mm,
have 3 games on Christmas Day, and then obviously then they have Monday Night Football, and then there's bowl games through the week. But then again, now New Year's Day is on a Sunday, so the NFL takes that. But then they also have games on well, actually no, we have the college football playoffs on the 31st too. We have football games on the first on Sunday, and then obviously then you have the Rose Bowl games on the second, and
yes.
then like you have the Rose Bowl and all those other bowls, and then that's it for football. Then finally there is no more football until until the last week of week 18 of the NFL, and then you get the NFL playoffs. So, but yeah, it's a lot of football between now and then.
A little bit of trivia about that too. People think that the Rose Bowl does that because there's a nod to the NFL of giving them Sunday if New Year's Day is on a Sunday. They actually never played the Rose Bowl on a Sunday ever. There was some weird rule in Pasadena, like you couldn't. And I'm gonna mess it up, but it's very, very quaint and rural and western. Like you couldn't unleash your ponies on a Sunday, so nobody could make it to the city of Pasadena to actually. It just very
Wow.
weird. Yeah.
How many people does Pasadena have now? Like,
Yeah, a lot more. I'll tell you what. I'll get it right for that episode. I want because
yeah,
it's just
that's such an
it's too
insane
good to pass
fact.
up. It's really weird.
Because
Yeah.
I always thought that it was literally just college saying we don't want to compete with the NFL. That's why we're going to move everything off of. We're not going to do our bowls on Sundays. So if when New Year's Day falls on a Sunday, we move everything
Yeah.
around it because of the. I thought it was because of the NFL. I didn't know it was because of the Rose Bowls like being like peace out. We're not doing this because people can't get into city on their horses. So
Well, maybe this is a very rare moment of visionary genius by the Rose Bowl people.
they're like, oh well, there's this rule about horses, but also we don't want to
Yeah.
compete with the NFL, so we're gonna
Yes.
bring up the rule about horses. So
Exactly.
all right, so off the top though, one sad note we do have to talk about this week. Mike Leach sadly passed away at the age of 61. Head coach of Mississippi State, um, also a head coach of Washington State, Texas Tech. Just an amazing coach for the game. He pioneered the air raid offense. He was successful everywhere he went, and yeah, just looking online, and if you're on Twitter and you're seeing the football stuff like we do, just so many stories of Mike Leach, and so many stories. People like, oh, this is our favorite moment of like Mike Leach. This is when I met him. He did this thing. It's so touching, and it's I think if you're able to live a life, and then when you go, if people are able to remember all those amazing stories, and you touch so many people, I think that's a successful life.
Absolutely. He was successful at three different spots where winning is not necessarily synonymous with the program at Texas Tech, Washington State, and Mississippi State. As you said, just a huge influence on today's game. Um, I think the thing that's so special about Mike Leach is not just the great stories, but you really got the great stories about him real time. It's not one of these things where a person dies and then all these gems are unearthed about unexpected depth. The unexpected depth of Mike Leach was basically a living, breathing thing that you saw every day, and we all got to enjoy it. Just a great coach and just an awesome, awesome figure in the history of college football, way beyond X's and O's and wins and losses.
Yeah, just amazing. I think uh, just again an amazing moment. Just a couple of weeks ago, it was a Mississippi State game versus I can't remember who they were playing. I think it was like Kentucky or something. And he just go like there's a video of him on the sideline just taking all the folding
Yep.
chairs because he's like the wide it's the wide receivers chairs. Like they don't deserve to sit now because they're doing such a and like that's just such an insane hilarious thing and that's something we can all it's such a great video. And then the best thing is there's another assistant coming back being like, "Hey, we can't just leave these chairs here on the ground. We have to gather them up." And it's just it's so funny, and we're gonna miss him. He's such a great influence in the game, and such a great coach. We're definitely gonna miss him. So
Yep.
moving on to the first week of the bowls here. So you've kind of separated all the games here into a couple of categories here. So what are your takes on how what
Yeah,
categories have you created here? Yeah.
I've got three categories. I've got first we'll go through the ones that take these opinions only if you really, really need to bet on a bull. I think that these are not ones that I feel strongly about. You might feel differently once you chime in on these. I've got plays that I like, and then I've got plays that I love. So within each group, we'll just go through them in chronological order. So in the if you really, really need to bet on a bull, the first one is the Cure Bowl. Troy giving one to UTSA. So here's what I see in this one. UTSA's offense is a plus 5.0, which is very good. Troy's defense is a plus 7.2, which is 11th in all of FBS. Troy's defense is just nationally elite in all of FBS. Um, UTSA has faced only one defense anywhere near as good as Troy's, and that was Texas. They couldn't really run or throw the ball efficiently against Texas, not by any fault of their own. I mean, Texas has a good defense, and they're a sufficient way or step up from Conference USA. The Sun Belt is a lot better than Conference USA. Throughout the whole season, I was saying I had the Sun Belt as the number one conference of the G5. Conference USA, I had as the second from the bottom. Um, my model has this Troy 28, UTSA 26, which is basically on line with a total of 54.5. You've got this not nearly as close. You've got this UTSA by a 30-17 score. Um, I'm I'm really, I can't rely on I can't rely on my model. I can't use my model to indicate what to bet on this, so I'm just going to take little of the factors outside of that and just say, little stronger uh, strength of opponent in the Sun Belt, and UTSA really hasn't done that well when facing a defense level Troy. So I will pick Troy here, given the one.
I think we're gonna have to call this the I need help tier of bulls. Uh, so I already bet UTSA here, so maybe I should think some life choices here. No, it's fine. I mean, the thing is, my model actually has a big UTSA thing, so like that for me is a green light. I'm in on UTSA. The thing is, I will say that Troy is like I feel like Troy's a little overrated because they yet they crushed Coastal, and I feel like that's priced in here, and I think people haven't really priced in that Coastal is nowhere near as good as they were a couple weeks ago before McCall's injury. So I feel like that's why I kind of jumped on UTSA. So that being said, a lot of these other ones I haven't taken. A lot of the in this tier I haven't taken, so I'm not that far gone. But yeah, I'm on UTSA in this one. I think I'm not like crazy in on this one. Again, we're getting like even money, small money line play on this. Again, I think this is one of the earlier bowls. I think this is yeah, this is the Friday afternoonish bowl. Right now the line is I'm getting a point and a half plus 105. So a small money line play on UTSA I think is fine. I'm not really. I mean, it's Friday afternoon. I think that's okay. That's an okay thing to take here. I think, but
So yeah, are we kind of like arm wrestling with indifference on this one? Then we could
yeah,
say.
this isn't a strong feeling. But again, this is one of this is the only this is the latest football game on Friday. This is one of the only times we don't have like a primetime football game on like the
Yeah.
second day of football. But there is, however, though, and I'll shameless plug here, there is Call of Duty. So if you've been following the Call of Duty League podcast, unfortunately, we are actually not recording an episode this week. My co-host on there, CDL Metrics, he has we have personal issues, so we can't. Neither of us can record later on this week. But yeah, we'll be back in the new year on that. But for now, we're not going to be recording this week. But we will be posting projections on Twitter though, so keep an eye out for that. And then yeah, watch Call of Duty there on Friday night instead of football. So what's the next game we have here?
The next one is the Fenway Bowl, and boy, if we had weak feelings about the last one, this one, I just you start from the top, and I can't really dig in after that. Um, Cincinnati versus Louisville. Last I showed was a pick 'em. You've got on the Louisville side, Malik Cunningham, their great quarterback, is out. He's declared for the draft. Scott Satterfield, their coach, is out. He's going to Cincinnati of all places, but he's not coaching this game. And on Cincinnati's side, Luke Fickle has left. So there's a lot of I'm really not sure here. If there's one or maybe two of those, I kind of don't worry too much and just have learned to rely on my numbers. I've had a few years where, before bowl season, I get all panicked and I say, "Well, my numbers say this, but I'm just not certain with all the uncertainties that are in bowl season." And they do pretty well in bowl season, but you have this many missing pieces, and I just don't know what to expect. My model has this 25-22. So if I have to make a play here, it would be Louisville, I guess, but with no oomph on my feelings on this pick at all.
Yeah, I mean this is the Fenway Bowl, and I think people like it's the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. I think people I think or no, sorry, yeah, the Pinstripe Bowl is what they call the Rose Bowl of the East, not the Fenway Bowl. Um, I wanted to be called the Satterfield Bowl, though. I think that's kind of more fair. Louisville versus Cincinnati is actually like a very underrated regional rivalry. They're literally like beside each other. So
Yeah,
um, this is somewhat of a rivalry game. Again, it's never a realized rivalry because one's in the the AAC. No.
yeah,
Cincinnati
American and the ACC.
and the ACC, yeah. So, but again, now I don't understand, and obviously we're not going to talk too much about coaching changes, but I don't understand why Satterfield real thinks that a sideways move from the ACC to the Big 12 is really that good of an idea, unless he thinks that like the ACC is like a couple of years from breaking apart. But I mean, like I don't think necessarily Cincinnati's an upgrade over Louisville, but um,
Well, he's not been
well, it was kind of
a great fit in Louisville forever.
he wasn't
And
like weren't there like people talking about firing him too, like just weeks
yeah,
ago? So what
and
was
just
this
then they
like?
had a nice little winning streak there.
Yeah.
But this is what I don't get. I actually get him leaving because it's basically the I'm quitting before you can fire me move. Excuse me, but he didn't from what I know and understand, he didn't work out at Louisville because he's more suited to a place like Boone, North Carolina, where App State is. Cincinnati is geographically farther from Boone, uh, psychically, spiritually, metropolitanly, whatever you want to say. It's more different from Boone than Louisville is.
Yeah, the
It might have just
thriving
been that
metropolis of Cincinnati.
yeah, I mean, maybe he just people in Louisville just hated him. I don't know. But that's really a weird spot to end up just seeing as from what I'd heard, the reasons that he didn't work out at Louisville compared to he was great at App State.
Mhm. Yeah, so we'll see. I don't know. If like I feel like if you need to take something here, maybe it's Louisville. But actually, that being said, it's who is even their quarterback? And who's even Cincinnati's quarterback?
I think that's the same kind of disappointing guy that's been there all year. I think he was at Eastern Michigan last year. Um, Louisville, remember Leak was out for a few games this year,
Yeah,
so that kid's played a little bit at least.
yeah,
But I mean, I who knows? Just there's too many pieces, so I don't
yeah.
even know if you have an opinion on this one. But we
I
just
think this will be a fun game to watch because it's going to be like the Louisville revenge game against Scott Satterfield. But like outside of that, I don't really. This is like if you're betting on if you feel you have a strong opinion on Louisville either -2 or Cincinnati +2, get help. Get help. You don't have.
I was gonna say, yeah, I think the biggest interest in this game is gonna be the same people that are betting on Belarusian ping pong at the onset of
Yeah,
COVID.
there's like a parlay. To like some guy named Vlad and like Cincinnati +2. Um, all right. Next up,
All right.
this is actually a game that I like. Uh,
My gosh, really?
yeah, the Las Vegas Bowl, Oregon
Yeah.
State laying 10 against the Florida Gators. Um, I actually like the thing of it is so this one's actually kind of funny. So I'll take this one. So Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson, he's opted out. And then his backup, Jalen Kitka, was kicked off the team for possessing child pornography.
Yeah.
Um,
He opted
which
out of civilized society.
yes, which begs the question, like, is there an entire wing of like the Gainesville Police Department dedicated to investigating the University of Florida players?
Yeah, it might be. Yes.
Like,
They might just have like a little substation just right in the athletic
there's like
department. I don't
three
know.
people in an office. They're like, all right, what if what have they done now? So like, I mean, it's just it's insane. Um, and yeah, like Oregon State, uh, they come in here. Their quarterback play is a bit shaky, but they had some strength down the line there. Um, my point on Richardson kind of is that like he's gone now. Apparent, so I guess the third string backup is actually someone who transferred from Ohio State to Florida. Um, last year he was like I think the third backup behind um Quinn Ewers, and like that can't be that bad, right? Like that's not like if some guy came from Ohio State, he can't be like that bad. Like we've criticized Anthony Richardson correctly. Like we haven't been unfair to Anthony Richardson. Um, I don't hate like I think 10 is way too many points here. Like I think 10 is way too many points here. I think this is maybe a pick, and I think people are just maybe people have like a huge spread on to to Richardson attributed. I don't see it though. What do you see in this game?
um, you know, just being on the third string quarterback just kind of breaks everything to me. Florida's offense was really good. They're a plus 4.8, and it's interesting because Oregon State, I think, had the best defense in the Pac-12 at a plus 5.0. I just don't know what the offense is without Richard. First of all, just you have to kind of say, well, Richardson is a unique talent. Now, I made fun of him for having a horrible ability to throw the ball with any accuracy, but um, to make one little analog real quick, when Caleb Williams got hurt against Utah, that shut down the entire USC running game because it took a big part of the running game out, and they knew, okay, I don't have to worry about the quarterback running anymore. And if I go back to what the Florida running game is, I just look and everybody that runs the ball at running back runs it with great success. You have one guy that runs for almost 5 yards a carry, then everybody else is like 6 or more yards per carry. And I'm just concerned about how much of that goes away without Anthony Richardson as a running threat. Um, Now the new guy, nameless quarterback TBD or to be named later, I guess. He might have some talent, but if it's his first game throwing, we don't know what we're going to get. And basically, if he doesn't have that threat to run the ball, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I just have no idea what to expect out of the Florida offense at all. Now, to your point, I actually have this my model, and this is my model's player indifferent has this as Oregon State by one. In that regard, 10 is too much, but I just don't know how I have no idea how much to discount Florida being on their third string quarterback. I guess I would still probably take Oregon State. Now, Jesus, their quarterback was so bad they didn't when they were making that big comeback against Oregon, they didn't even try to pass the ball because they knew that they couldn't. And Oregon's defense is not good. Florida's got a decent defense. I I guess I just take Oregon State just going against maybe just like the new fish in prison angle with this this guy who has not he's not thrown a pass. The only guy who's thrown a pass for Florida has been Richardson, Kitna, and then one running back. So I guess I'm going Oregon State, but again with not a lot of conviction on this one.
You remind me of something. I think in one of, I think like after week one of the season when Georgia like destroyed Oregon, I'm like, man, this Oregon team doesn't look really good. I think Oregon State's gonna beat them in the final week of the season. And then they turn it around, have an amazing year, and then they still lose to Oregon State. I remember that's so crazy how that's kind of funny.
That would
But
have been great. Like if you just fallen asleep for 12 weeks and you woke up,
went
yep,
into a
I knew it.
coma.
I told you
I
guys.
told you. Yeah, go into a coma for 12 weeks, wake up and be like, Oregon State beat Oregon. I told you. Be like, wait, what happened? What's the record? But no, I don't know. I just think this is too many points. I'll take the 10. It could look really bad, but like, I don't know. I trust that this Florida team has people who are good players and enough people who are good players and not criminals. So I think they can. I think they'll be okay. What's next?
All right, next is the Lending Tree Bowl. Southern Miss giving 6.5 to Rice. Matchup of two really bad offenses. Rice is a minus 5.5. Southern Miss is even worse at a minus 7.1. That's really bad. Actually, both these teams were in Conference USA last season. Southern Miss has moved on to the Sun Belt. Not just two bad offenses, but two really bad quarterbacks. TJ McMahon of Rice threw 14 interceptions this year. Four of those against USC, but even after that start, he didn't let that slow him down, and he still had 10 more for the rest of the season, almost one per game. And Southern Miss quarterback Zach Wilkie threw 9 on the season. I've got this 23-20 Southern Miss. I just, I, my first inkling was two really bad offenses. Total's 46.5, and I'm projecting 43, maybe an under. But if you have this many interceptions, the one thing that an under better hates is the pick six, and it's just there for it. It's there that it's just begging to happen. So I can't. I don't know. I don't even know what to play on this one.
Well, yeah.
Um,
I mean, you got pick sixes, and again, when you're dealing with two teams that aren't particularly great, you always got to worry about like blocked punts or something. Or yeah. So, quick question: what is a lending tree? Is it a lending company? What is it?
I
Because
well,
I've
if
in
it's
Canada, I've never heard of this
if we're
company
gonna,
before.
is it like a agricultural firm or a financial firm? I'm probably gonna go financial.
I have no idea. Cause I've in Canada, we don't have whatever this is. I don't know what lending. Like I keep hearing every year, I hear this lending tree bowl. I have no idea what this sponsor is. You don't have it? You don't have any idea what it is either?
I don't use Lending Tree. Let me Google them. They have a little. Okay, they do personal loans, so
Oh, okay.
They're probably some,
Payday loan
and they're on
company.
Nasdaq. Yeah, let me see. When they say personal loans, that just makes me think they're just probably doing unsecured
Pay,
nonsense, and they won't be around for 10 more years.
yeah, they're probably doing like payday loans with like 20% interest or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
See, I mean, I've got this as like an exact pick, but at the same point in time, even if something is an exact pick, stuff happens, right? Like a pick six, all of a sudden someone wins by 7 and then you don't cover the 6.5, right? I think this was at a 7 at one point, but then I think you then get like when there was 7 there was value, but now that there isn't 7 there really isn't value. I think if you're gonna do something, you probably gotta take the points with Rice, but even then that's terrifying. So
Yeah.
again, this is a I don't have strong feelings about this. This is just I don't when is this game? I think this is this weekend. I think yeah, this is 17:45, which is five 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 5:45. Again, there's better games on at the same time. There's Fresno State, Washington State, and then BYU, SMU is just a little bit later. So I'd hold out
Yeah.
for those better games instead of this game. But if you really really need to watch something at 5:45, uh, there is this. So
All right. We're gonna do this isn't a real segment, but this kind of makes its way in every episode. So, did you ever see the movie Argo?
no.
And you're Canadian, you have to. Do
What's
you
it
know what the
about?
premise is?
No,
It's
what's?
about the American hostages in Iran, and they
Oh
were,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. All right, there's just a great line there where somebody says there are no good options. This is our best bad option, and that just when it comes to betting this game, that comes to mind. Um,
Mhm.
Betting on it, there's only a best bad option when it comes to Southern Miss versus Rice in the Lending Tree Bowl.
This is the least worst option.
Yes. All right. Next one is the Myrtle Beach Bowl with Marshall giving 10 to Yukon. I've got this Marshall 27, Yukon 16, which is over the total of 40.5. The matchup that really stands out to me is UConn's offense is not good. I have them as a minus 4.9 for the season. And I was kind of surprised they were even that high. Their offense is just brutal. There's nothing there. There is just nothing there. And Marshall's defense is plus 7.3, which is actually a real as good as Troy's. So it's literally elite nationally. I dug in a little deeper on the Connecticut offense. Of all their games this season, they only have two where they performed at FBS average or above against FIU, where they performed 6 points. How do I say this? Six expected points above FBS average, and UMass, where they were offense was four expected points better than average.
Wow.
Other than that, they were like just yeah, and those are not two great teams. All respect to Mike McIntyre and Don Brown. The rest of it were just garbage. So they're just consistently really bad. Um, I don't really like the Marshall offense. What makes me even more concerned is the Marshall offense isn't good and their coach is an offensive guy. Conversation for another day. That's just one of my secret red flags. So I don't know if I want to give the 10. UConn gets a little plucky from time to time, like we saw against Boston College, where their defense does kind of believe for long periods of time. So if there's a play here, I don't have anything yet. I've kind of searched for it. I want to play the Yukon team total if it's anything less than 14 for sure. Um, I'm thinking, let me see. Yeah, and that's probably what it'll be. If the total's 40, we take 10 from that and give each team 15. The market's saying they're looking at 25-15.
Yeah, the team total for I got on my book I've got under 13 and a half, minus
Yeah,
105.
I'll do that. I'm not worried about UConn putting the ball in the end zone twice. Um, that's the only angle I can come up with here.
Hmm. It's a little. I mean, their defense is good though. Maybe do you worry about like a? I mean, Marshall isn't world beater here. Do you think they're gonna like? You can worry about a pick six or a fumble or something. I don't know. I don't like either of these teams. But that being said, though, I feel like 10 points is too much for in a bowl. Like UConn has. When was the last time UConn made a bowl?
It might be that one that Randy Edsel literally like took his team to play Oklahoma and then ditched his team on the way back. It might have been that long
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. Like when you're looking at a team like that, like I've got this game about even, but again low scoring even. I think I have this 20-20, which is again not particularly. Um, doesn't sound particularly amazing. Yeah, I got 21 Marshall, 20 UConn. I've got a Marshall minus point 0.7. So I
Well,
do.
hey, why don't you book my my team total bet then?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I technically I'd be on the over for UConn team total.
Yeah, take the other side of my bet. Let's keep the vig out of it. I'm
Possibly.
joking. I'm joking. I wouldn't do that to you.
Nah. I mean, I don't know. This game could be really bad. That being said, it's at like 2:30 on a Monday, which sounds about right.
That sounds very appropriate. Yeah.
Like where we're gonna stick this bowl. And like, yeah, 2:30 on a Monday. Again, 2:30 on a Monday, a couple hours before Monday Night Football. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds like how networks plan things. Yeah, not a great game. Again, I would not bet this game, but I kind of feel like in game like I think in with bowls like if you don't know, I think you kind of take the points. Like if you don't have a strong opinion on like a minus, you take the points, and then watch like Marshall put up like 30 or something, and then be
Yeah.
like, oh cool, we lost.
All hell breaks loose one way or another.
Yeah.
All right. Another one still. We've got two more in this. Not really sure what we feel about this bucket. South Alabama giving 7.5 to Western Kentucky in the New Orleans Bowl. Let me see. Is there a sponsor for this one or
I guess the city of New Orleans.
the RNL Carriers? Um,
Ah, okay.
so, which would probably be some kind of railroad company, I'm guessing. I've got so South Alabama's given 7.5. Pretty close to what I have. My model has this 30 to 25, or sorry, my model has this Western Kentucky 30, South Alabama 25. Now, I'm pretty sure the difference is Austin Reed, the Western Kentucky quarterback. You know what? I didn't check this line lately to see, or this morning to
It's
see how
down to
this is
four
work.
and a half.
South Al still favored.
Yeah.
Okay. So Austin Reed was, we'll use was and then come back, was the Conference USA Newcomer of the Year. He was second team All Conference USA quarterback. He was in the transfer portal from December 5th through December 13th. Um, that just makes me wonder what on earth. I would probably feel better if he was still gone. The fact that he was gone for 8 days and now he's back, I can't find anything whether he's playing or not. That move of 3 points um, makes me think that the market's still probably uncertain, like if he's going to play slash how much. It's a pretty it's a pretty big chunk of time of practice time to miss. Now he started all year, but the game is a week from today, so you got to think that they had probably already installed most of the game plan in the first week. Um, it's just it's just a weird spot for him to come back. I don't know what he's gonna do. What effect it has like psychologically on the team either. Like I said, I've trying to get away from transfer portal stuff and coaches moving, but this one is especially weird. I've never seen this before in the portal and out of the portal during basically install time, what I'm guessing. So I guess I'll probably go with South Al just because I've been on them all year and I like him, even though my numbers like Western Kentucky, but my numbers are player agnostic too.
So I think now again obviously I don't think this game this game the game I'm about to mention isn't on our slate for today, but didn't Drake May the quarterback for North Carolina, didn't he also enter the transfer portal and then he's like, yeah, psych, I'm back with you guys.
Yeah,
So
one
like,
day.
yeah, so like this is basically like I'm gonna enter the transfer portal and then I'm gonna go somewhere unless you guys give me X amount of money, and then someone signs a check and he's like, cool, I'm good now, I'm with you guys. That's what's happening, right?
I I guess,
Because what?
or
How
maybe
else do
he
you
just
describe this? Like, is he just like,
maybe he just thought he was going to get more opportunities, and after a week it went silent, and he's like, yeah, maybe I'll just go back to Western Kentucky.
no, but like you have to know. Like, come on, you're telling me these people aren't tampering? They're not like, oh, come here, we'll give you. Like, come on.
I don't know. I mean, who would actually be reaching out to Austin Reed?
Austin Reed, yes, but Drake May have
Yeah, 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 yeah.
of
Sorry.
course.
Yes.
For May, yes, okay, but for Austin Reed, that's possible, right? Like a week or so, that could be like maybe I could have some but like I feel like they have like their agents. Like I think some of them have agents now. I think at this point, I think some of them are reaching out to other schools to be like, hey, what do you think about this kid? Like, so maybe for him, but like for Drake May, is kind of like if you don't sign this, like, oh, if you don't sign X dollars on a piece of paper, I'm going to Florida or something, and then they're like, yeah, fine, we'll just sign the money. So yeah, I think that's the interesting thing with the but like so this is just bribery then at this point. Then this is just under the table bribery. It's great. College
Uh,
football is great now.
over
Um,
the table.
yeah, over the table. It's not even under the table. They're just like openly bribing people. So yeah, I um I think I'm gonna lean Western Kentucky. I mean, again, he was out for a week, but I mean they still have another whole week. Just a bit of an extended bye, I guess. I'm not that worried about it. I think Western Kentucky's a better team. Um, so we'll have to see. I don't know, but that being said, I think South Alabama was really bad last year, right? They were good this year, right? Well, they were good this year, but they I think they were rough. They've had a couple rough years, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, they were 2 years ago. They were really bad. They fired their coach. Last year was the first coach of, or the first year of. I'm gonna blank now because I've been sick. The new guy. I'm stuck on Summerall. The awesome. Did he get it? Oh, Womack.
Hmm.
the coach from Indiana. So last year they went 6-6, 10-2. As I kind of got to mention this because this is a tough one to bet. This is actually a really good game. Western Kentucky I had as the best team in Conference USA. South Al I actually had as the third best in the very good Sun Belt, behind James Madison, who was not eligible, and Troy, who won it by want of basically beating South Alabama in a close. I think that game was 10-6. So underrated, actually, G5 matchup here. This is actually going to be worth watching. Um, just two good teams, and then to see what on earth kind of chemistry disruption might have happened with Austin Reed kind of being lost in the woods for 8 days.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very good game actually, and this is, I believe, this is prime time. Yes, Wednesday, 8 o'clock. 2100 is.
That's 9 o'clock
Oh yeah, nine
Eastern,
o'clock. Yeah, nine
6
o'clock Eastern.
Pacific.
Yeah, so that's prime time. Prime time game. There you go. It's standalone. There's no. It's not competing with anything else. So,
Yeah.
very excited for this game. It could be a very good game. So yeah, I'm excited for that one. All right, but yeah, so you. Oh, but so it's in this category for you because you don't really like
Did,
anything in this yet. You're
well,
just.
the Austin Reed, just big
Yeah,
question mark, just is the big poop in the
that's
punch
fair.
bowl that I don't know what to do with.
That's fair.
All right. Last one in this category, Baylor giving 5.5 to Air Force in the Armed Forces Bowl. It's the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. I guess the defense contractors paid $1 million to get their name in there, so we'll give them their props. This is interesting. If you look at these, I've got, even though these teams don't have any stylistic similarities, numerically they're very similar. You've got the offenses are very close. Baylor I have as a plus 0.06 or plus 0.6, and Air Force is a plus 0.5. Defenses, they're very close. Baylor's a plus 2.7. Air Force is a plus 3.4. I've actually got Baylor 26-25, which is a little above the total of 49. What's tough is you've got the whole, and I don't know this well enough because I think there's probably data points to support any argument you want to do. Going against the triple option team in a bowl game can either go really good if you're prepared for it, and it can be tough for them because you've got 3 weeks to prepare. Or if you don't really know what you're doing, you're going to look stupid in front of everybody with no other games competing. Um, as a USC fan, the last two times I can remember facing triple option teams in a bowl game, Georgia Tech at the end of that dreadful 2012 season, you might remember that, for Lane Kiffin wearing like some kind of snow poncho and sunglasses in the Sun Bowl. And before that, also in the Sun Bowl, facing the triple option of TCU and LaDainian Tomlinson becoming a household name way back in 1998. And our team looked hungover, and apparently they were. Anyways, so the triple option thing makes this a tough one. I look back, and Baylor hasn't faced a triple option team at all with Aranda as head coach. So I don't even have any kind of little data point to say, aha, he got it, or uh-oh, he doesn't know what to do. Um, so if I'm making any kind of play here, since my model has this a 1 point game and the line is 5.5, I would probably just grab Air Force plus 185 on the money line, but I'm definitely not going to cut in line to make that bet.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the five, like, especially with a triple option team in bowl season, again, Baylor, disappointing year, Air Force in many ways an even more disappointing year. Um, I kind of think that, like, again, and remember, people love betting service academy schools in bowls too. That's generally
Mm.
they usually do well too. So yeah, I think if when is this game?
This
Is
is next Thursday, the
Thursday
22nd.
7:30. So it is competing against Thursday night football, but that's a bit
That game's not even on TV. Come on. Do people actually watch that? It's on Amazon.
well, that's true. Yeah,
Like,
it's
they
not on.
delivered to your door? How does that work? I'm
Well,
kidding.
it's
I
weird.
know. I'm just being an idiot.
On TV in Canada. It's actually on TV. We got an
Ah,
exclusive deal with, I think, Amazon or something.
okay.
But
Good for you guys.
well, actually, I don't think it's. I think it's literally they just had to sign that deal to get around Canadian Like, we screwed them over. It's not the other way around. For them to even
Hmm.
get the rights, like, you have to show it on TSN if that will get sued. But yeah, yeah, I mean, it competes with it. But yeah, if you're taking anything, you're gonna take Baylor. All right, so let's talk about the games we actually like, not the get hope
Yes.
games. What do we actually like here?
All right. The first one that I like is Fresno State giving 3 to Washington State. This is the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, Los Angeles Bowl. This one, uh, this one opened Washington State giving 4.5. And my guy, God bless him, I have no complaints about my guy, and he's a businessman, as I guess I am a pretend businessman when it comes to this. But he didn't hang just any lines except on the playoffs until Thursday of last week, because I think he knows that there's inevitably like 3 or 4 bowl games like this where the numbers just flat out wrong. This has gone from Washington State giving 4.5 to Washington State getting 3. Um, my model has this Fresno 29 to 25, which is right on line with the total of 54.5. I think that my numbers are a little unfair to Fresno, though. If you look at Fresno, you have to kind of chop their um, season into two different kind of parts. One is the part with Hayner, and one is the part without Hayner. So with Jake Hayner, they were 7-2. The two losses were at USC, which is obviously completely understandable, and to Oregon State, a very good team who has beaten some very good teams. And remember, they lost that. Like, I think it was on like a last second decision to go for 2 or something like that, like with no time left. I don't know if you remember that. Like,
Hmm.
Fresno State basically led the whole game. Those are the only 2 games that Jake Hayner lost this season. Without him, they were 2-2. So I bring this up because I've got that 2-2, not Jake Hayner. That's kind of polluting my numbers a little bit. Um, you actually have Fresno by 5.5 here, which really kind of makes me think that my lean to Fresno State is the right way to go. The other thing I looked at is, and this is not scientific, but it's just a kind of a little informative. This isn't the determinative factor, but it's a little informative of my opinion that I was kind of formulating. Versus bowl teams this year, Washington State is 1-5, Fresno is 3-4. Um,
Mm.
I Fresno's just a little bit more proven to me all the way around. I also love how they just curb stomped a good Boise team. I mean, they just
They
kind of went
did.
in there and said, "Yeah, no, we're pretty badass here, guys." And Boise was like rolling as much as you can roll for a Mountain West team. So I really like Fresno State given the 3 here.
I actually completely agree with that. I think this is actually a good spot for Fresno. I've got 5.5. I'll be taking Fresno on the spread. Fresno on the spread. What's up next?
All right, the New Mexico Bowl. I'm seeing if there's a sponsor. I don't know. Is it looked at Hatch Chili or something like that?
Let me find the
Nope. Just I guess the whole state of New Mexico sponsors it.
taxpayer
um,
money.
yes, SMU giving 1.5 to BYU. My first concern was Tanner Mordecai. He is turning pro, but after the game, so he's going to be playing in this game. He's been really, really good this year. My model has this 37 to 36, so it has it basically a 1 point game, just very much in line with the point spread. Also, the 37 to 36 is really close to the total of 74.5. So a lot of data points saying this is going to be a high scoring game. My deeper dive is basically the matchup of SMU's offense versus BYU's defense. When I looked at SMU versus the tougher defenses that they faced, Maryland, TCU, Cincinnati, and Tulane, they were. It's going to be. Hopefully, I can explain this correctly. They performed at a rate that generated 22 expected points per game less than the rest of their season, if that makes sense. So if they don't play a very tough or basically a Power 5 defense, they score a ton of points. Um, the BYU defense, um, let me see, my check mine here. Pardon me for 1 second. So yeah, I'm trying to do this in the same thing. In the last 6 games of the season versus FBS opponents, they are giving up 20 expected points per game more than in the first 5 games versus FBS opponents. So I don't know if they had a key injury or they all stopped playing or they just kind of got hurt feelings or whatever. But since basically about middle of the season, their defense has just gone down an elevator shaft. So I see an opportunity here for, even though SMU's defense isn't great, I think that SMU, this might be one of those, the crazy bowl game where one team scores like 60, and it's going to be SMU. So I like SMU, even though my model has it close. I think when I just kind of look at the quality of defense that BYU is throwing on the field for the last month and a half, SMU, I'm expecting them to just pick them apart.
Yeah. The thing is, so this spread is now it's now actually 2.5. So sorry, it's 3.5. Sorry, BYU plus 3.5, getting 3.5. That's that's a little tempting for me. I gotta take BYU plus 3.5 and the points and maybe even the money line. I've got
Really?
BYU. Yeah, I've got BYU. I've actually got BYU's favored by 2.5. So close, similar to you. But BYU again, I've got this 41-38. So again, pretty high scoring there. The total is 64 now.
64?
Yeah, I'm seeing 64 in my book. Over under 64.
Really?
That's changed. Did something happen?
Man. Yeah, maybe there's some kind of,
It's like Jaron Hall out or
I don't know. Yeah, maybe there's an injury that we are not aware of.
1 second.
Let me see. 64. Wow. That's coming down 10.
Apparently, um, they're not sure. I guess
About.
about Jaron Hall.
Okay.
So it might be an injury. Oh, Jaron Hall's dealing with an ankle injury.
10 points worth? I don't know.
Didn't they have a backup quarterback? Didn't Jaron Hall miss a game?
Uh,
And yeah,
yeah.
I thought he did already. I don't
Well,
know.
okay. Well, what's odd is the total goes down 10, but the spread only moves
Two.
2 on that.
Yeah, I don't
There's some
know if
kind of disconnect there.
buying that. Maybe I'll take the over 64 too, right? Because BYU does still have good offense, right? If it's a backup quarterback throwing a good receivers, right? That's still fine, right? So, yeah, I kind
I
of like that.
Yeah, I literally, I'm not joking. Where, I mean, SMU plays up tempo.
Hmm.
I, I SMU might get this themselves.
Hmm. Yeah,
If it's 64, that's crazy.
that's
Yeah,
all right.
I
That's
like
something to
that
look
even.
at. Something to look at.
Yeah.
All right. What's the next one?
All right. The Frisco Bowl.
Hmm.
Boise State giving 10 to North Texas. Um, North Texas did something that you don't see every day. They fired their coach after they made the conference title game.
Hmm.
Apparently, they are very confident in their place in the college football universe. Um,
Apparently.
who does that? Doing that basically got Clay Helton his job extended after the 20 season, after everybody wanted him gone. But anyways, he's no longer there. I think that most of the other staff is still there, though. He didn't really land anywhere else. So I've got this Boise 33, North Texas 26. It's right on with the total of 59. If I We've mentioned this throughout the season about how there was just a huge break in Boise season once they fired once they fired their offensive coordinator, who, by no surprise, I don't know if you saw, he landed up on Cal's staff. That just figures. It's like, hey, here's somebody who's just ruined an offense. Great, let's hire him at Cal because that's what they do.
What are they doing? Why would they do that? They're
I
like,
but I don't know. It's like you've
can't
got
you
to be
hire
kidding.
someone who was good? Like, is there literally no one
No.
available who was good? They can only hire people who are bad. Is that like in
Um,
Cal policy?
it's I think it's a matter of good, and then can you afford them, and are they
Yeah.
good? Like, can you afford what it's going to take to live in Berkeley area? That
Mm,
might be as simple
true.
as that. Um, so when I basically just delete those first 3 games of the season, let's just say those didn't exist, and I rerun this, I come up with Boise 38, North Texas 25. I've got Boise actually sixth overall in all of FBS. If I kind of just take away those first 3 weeks too, you're talking like, they're basically as good as, almost a playoff team, which there's probably a little bit of fluff in those numbers, but that's hard to overlook.
Hmm.
I know 10 is a lot to give in a bowl game, but I just think that these are two different teams in totally different planes. um, going back to this kind of is a little bit of a belief in also in Fresno State, like we were talking about before. If you believe in one, you believe in the other. So I'm believing Fresno State and I believe in Boise State. So I'm taking Boise and giving the 10.
I actually have Boise minus 12.5 in this game, so I actually do kind of like Boise here. Um, I don't really think it's. I think that they're a half decent play here. So, uh,
Interesting. What's interesting too is when you take out those 3 games, that's when they changed quarterbacks. That was when Bachmeyer went in
mhm.
the portal. So your number with their quarterback, because your quarterback is or your number is quarterback sensitive.
Yeah,
And
it's
once I take that out, we're right on line there.
quarterback sensitive, and my model also downweights older games too.
Hmm.
So that's also why too. So that's probably why. But yeah, so I kind of do like Boise here, so we'll have to see. But I think that's the right play if anything there. Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. One more of the I like it but I don't love it category, and that is Toledo. And Jason Kendall's presence alone keeps me from loving any game involving him. Giving 4.5 to Liberty in the Boca Raton Bowl. Um, so I'm going to look through this really more the lens of Liberty to start with than Toledo, because Toledo, we kind of know what we get, even though I don't know what the status of their quarterback is, but they just do Toledo things and then they stray off of that from time to time. So it's almost useless to try to figure out what Toledo does in any particular week. So I start with Liberty. Um, their offense, they only had 4 games all season that were above FBS average. Remember, I said I think it was UConn. They
Hmm.
only had 2 games that were above FBS average all season. They only had four. Um, UAB, Old Dominion, UMass, interestingly, or sorry, UMass, who was one of those for Connecticut, and then also BYU. Just going back to we're talking about SMU, gives me reason to think that SMU might just really put one on BYU. So those are the only 4 games that they were basically better than mediocre all season. All 4 of these are definitely worse than Toledo's defense, which is a plus 3.6. Liberty's defense, they only had 2 bad games against UAB and New Mexico State. That New Mexico State thing is the one that really kind of makes people pause, because it was at the end of the season. It was so horribly bad. And even if you think you're smarter like you and me, you kind of go back and dig into the numbers and say, hey, this guy that we made fun of for all of September, Diego Pavia, he threw for like almost 300 yards against these guys and 4 touchdowns. Really? So you can't really explain your way out of that New Mexico State performance other than just to say maybe it's just a one-off. But other than that, they were really good. They were not just really good, but consistently good, and they were good against opponents, including Wake Forest, who we know has a good offense, and Arkansas when they had KJ Jefferson, which is a very different animal when they have him or they don't. So I think that we're gonna see. We know what to expect from both sides of the ball when it comes to just the Liberty lens. Offense isn't going to do much. Defense is going to show up if we can just get past that horrible, horrible, horrible game versus New Mexico State. Maybe Hugh Freeze being gone actually kind of clears the room of whatever stench is from that game. My model has this 25-23 in favor of Toledo. Um, that's under the total of 52.5. That's what I think that play for this one should be.
Hmm. Yeah, I do have Toledo as a bigger favorite, but again, I suspect that's probably because of that late season game against New Mexico State. So it's not great. I mean, maybe I'd take Liberty here, but It's kind of iffy for me. When is this game? Oh, it's a Tuesday night game. It's already up to 5. Maybe I'll think about it. Maybe I'll end up taking Liberty. We'll see. We'll see.
The total's up to 54 too. That's
54.
even a
Yeah.
that's even a better interplay.
Hmm. Yeah. Makes sense. Okay. What about the plays you and I kind of both love here?
Oh, you love them too. Okay, I've got two of them. Um, UAB is giving an 11.5 versus Miami, Ohio in the Bahamas Bowl. Um, Not gonna overthink this one. UAB had a better season. Um, Conference USA is significantly better than the MAC. UAB is better on both sides of the ball. I have UAB's offense actually 18th in all of FBS. Miami of Ohio's defense is 94th in all of FBS. So that offense defense matchup, obviously, just a huge, favorite to UAB. Another one of these things I like to do when I do these bowl games is just see if we can segment out parts of the season. Dylan Hopkins, UAB's, he was the best quarterback in Conference USA. I had him going into the season. He lost. There were 3 games that he couldn't play. They went 0-3 without him. UAB went 6-3 with him, and that one of those losses was at LSU. So you know, you can't expect, especially that was late in the season too, where there's just no way they were going to beat that LSU team at that point. So, you know, I would call that 6-2, and then a kind of whatever. Um, my model has this 36-23 in favor of UAB. Your model actually has this more so in favor of UAB. Um, I don't know if they're going to cover, but I do love that the total on this is so low. It's crazy. The total is 44.5, so I'm going to take the over in this one.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about an 11.5 is it, it's hard to win a game by exactly 11 or
Yeah.
12. So
It's
the
functionally 13 sometimes, right?
yeah, 13 or 14 more likely, right? That's basically saying like this is you're betting 50-50 whether or not this is a blowout or like a close-ish blowout, right? And I think again, sometimes some of these bowl games, yes, some of them are closer, but sometimes some of these are over by like the half. And we'll have to see. Um we've said a lot about Miami of Ohio. I think they did beat Northwestern though. Uh, but
Oh,
that's
there's
not
one.
saying much though. That's not saying a lot. But yeah,
No.
I'm taking UAB here. I think winning by 2 touchdowns is more than doable here. I'm not really worried about that. I think that's fine, and maybe the
Yeah.
over isn't bad either because like it is a MAC team. They will put up some points, and I think UAB will be more than willing to put up. Like, what does UAB stop at 30 something? Like they're
Well,
not gonna.
you have UAB scoring more than the total here,
Yeah,
so
that is true. I do
that's
actually.
comforting.
Yeah, that's a good place. Team over. One team covers the spread by itself. Actually, I do kind of like that. Yeah, it's a really low total for a game involving a MAC team. That just seemed really low.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Um, Not even like one of the okay, even by max standard defenses.
What's this? What's the over under? 40? Yeah, 45. So not 44 and a half, 45. But yeah, I got in at my UAB minus 10. That's 11, but like not a huge difference there. Um, but yeah, I might play that over. It's actually fun over. That's a Friday afternoon. Friday 11:30 a.m. Why are we playing football at 11:30 a.m.
Why are
Eastern
we playing football at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time?
time? Well, to be fair, it's not. I guess they are two East Coast teams. That's fair. But
And it's the Bahamas Bowl, so it's 2 time zones. No, it's even ahead of that. So it's 12:30 local time.
so so it's
They're out in
it's
the ocean there.
it's not in it's not on the it's not in the it's not on U.S. soil, right?
No, it's the Bahamas Bowl.
Oh, okay. So I think there were 2 games that were played. There used to be a Canadian Bowl, like game played in Toronto. I think it involved a MAC. I don't remember. That was kind of before I followed college football, but I think it involved like a MAC team and like another team.
Yeah, did they call that like the International Bowl one year or something like that?
Yeah, but then they
Yeah,
stopped it for some reason. I don't. I mean,
because I don't know if they hadn't reached you yet, then they hadn't reached critical mass to make a bowl successful in that country.
definitely not. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are like. Well, see, the trick was the fact that what you could do is because it was a MAC team, theoretically Buffalo could make it, right? And you're
Mm,
like, but Toronto's maybe like 2.5 hours out of Buffalo, so you can maybe go. I think that was what they were trying for, but again, not every Buffalo wouldn't always make the bowl, right? So
mm.
it would, if it's like Northern Illinois, you're like, well, oh no, this is not gonna go well. So, but I mean, actually, technically, if it was any Michigan school, I guess you could. But like, it's not great. So yeah, that's all right. What's your next? What's the next one here that we actually like betting? Another game we actually
Yeah.
like betting on.
The famous Idaho. It's famous. Don't forget that Idaho Potato Bowl.
Mm.
San Jose State is giving 3.5 to Eastern Michigan. Another one that I'm just not going to overthink. My model has this 32-20 in favor of San Jose State. San Jose State has consistently been one of the best G5 teams all season. They ended the season. I think it. Excuse me. I think at one point they actually snuck into my talks about the who's going to make the Cotton Bowl in some of the more crazier scenarios. But they ended up seventh best in the G5 by my metrics. They had two understandably bad games. Remember, they had a player die in October. Excuse me. They had to cancel their game against New Mexico State. After they kind of got through that, they ended the season with two very strong games. They're better on both sides of the ball. And I think even more so because you've got those two bad games that are trying to get through their grieving process. I'm thinking the numbers kind of show that. So if you take that out, this is even more of a wipeout. I'm definitely taking SJSU, pardon me, and give them the 3.5.
Yeah, I don't. I don't hate San Jose State here. My model does have Eastern Michigan. I think actually is favorites, which is weird. Um, this Eastern Michigan team is not particularly good. Um, and again, when you have a death in the program, yeah, you wanna bet on that team, right? Utah had lost a couple players.
Mm.
They turned it around. San Jose State, and again, we're not talking about this game yet, but Mississippi State is 3.5 point dogs against Illinois. Just saying. So there's you kind of you want to bet on some teams that maybe have experienced some tragic loss. They usually use that as a motivation there. So yeah, I think we're gonna I think we'll take San Jose State there. Yeah.
Okay. So that's all the games with little in depth for this podcast. We'll pick up starting with. Let me just make sure. We will pick up with Louisiana Houston, which is the oh my goodness Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. Shout out to the fine people at Radiance Technologies and whatever they do. Um, so
Maybe
of these,
radiators.
radiance. What is radiance?
I
Is
don't
it like
know.
brilliance? Okay.
Maybe
So
lights of some kind. I don't know.
I
I'll as you talk, I'll look that up.
okay. So now that we've gone through all the bowls, the official podcast plays for each of us, um, the ones that we actually go on the record and say this is the official plays. I will go first. My first one will be that UAB versus Miami going over. You said the latest was 45. I will definitely go with that. That seems a very nice one that might actually cover sometime early in the third quarter.
So looking at this Radiance Technologies, it seems to be some sort of military contractor for
Ah, sneaky.
innovative solutions to customers' greatest challenges, and it's talking about intelligence. And we provide intelligence analysis and warfighter support to the intelligence community and Department of Defense. And then it has an entire thing called cyber, which, if you remember, there was like a Trump quote where he said, "Oh, we're the best at cyber" or something. And is that what he got that from? I'm almost one. Was there like a pamphlet that said cyber on? That's what. Maybe this is where he. This is the origins of that quote. I don't know, but yeah. So this is some sort of like I think half of American companies do some work for the Department of Defense. That's my understanding of American technology. So yeah, there's that. All right, my first model play, I'm gonna go with Florida. Florida, give me the 10.
Oh
I'm taking
man.
the thing is it's too many points. Like Oregon State had a decent year. Okay, cool. Good for them. But at a certain point we have to say, okay, 10 is too many. Yes, Florida lost their starting quarterback and their backup quarterback to criminal charges, but at certain there is someone on the roster who can play quarterback, and that person will probably not lose to Oregon State by 10 points.
You know what? I'm gonna be a good friend and just if that doesn't work out, I'll be sure to remind you of that, okay?
That's fine. Yes, you could do that.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right, my next one, Boise State giving 10 to North Texas, just two different teams on two totally different planes going two different directions.
Yeah. I think that's a fair play. What else? I'm gonna take Western Kentucky. I'm gonna take Western Kentucky
Wow.
plus the 4.5. Sorry to bet against the South Alabama there, but yeah, give me Western Kentucky.
My goodness. Gutsy.
Yeah,
Just not worried about whatever trauma might have been inflicted upon the program by
someone going to the transfer portal.
Mr. Reed, just kind of just seeing if he has any other options, huh? Okay.
Like, I guess we're stuck together.
Yeah. Hey, happy to be back. All right, my last one, San Jose State giving 3.5 to Eastern Michigan. Like I said, again, just I don't see this one being close.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, give all right. All right, I gotta get one more pick. Give me BYU. Give me the points with BYU. I think
Oh
that
man.
they've got another quarterback somewhere on their roster that can, because I mean, SMU was like okay, but like never that great. I think like I think they'll find a way to screw this up somehow and not cover 3.5.
Good luck. Okay. Um, all right. My model plays. I will tweet out. Oh, these games start Friday, so I'll tweet them out Thursday evening. For this slate of games. Dual model plays, which went 40 and 29 on the regular season. We don't have any for this group of games, but I think in next week's pod there's going to be probably one or two. So definitely stay tuned and keep an ear out for those.
Yeah, some of these future bowl games, like Washington, Texas. I'm excited for that
Oh
bowl
man.
game, and like what like Oregon, North Carolina, aka the Shootout Bowl. Yeah, lot of good, a couple, some really good bowl games coming up in in the next little bit. I'm actually pretty excited to see um some of these bowl games. So we're gonna have to we'll be back next week. Don't worry, and we'll talk about those bowl games. But yeah, starting off bowl week strong here with our first picks, and yeah, enjoy the holidays. Enjoy. I mean, obviously we'll be back next week days before Christmas, but I'm sure some people are probably traveling, meeting up with family. Have safe travels, enjoy the holidays, and enjoy football this holiday season. And we will see you guys next week.